Hey y'all, good morning and welcome to Soft Spot. I'm your host as always, Sabir Arleen. Listen, real funny thing, I was just about to hit all the live buttons and then I realized that I didn't have any shorts on, right? I mean, it wouldn't have been a good look, right? It would not have been a good look for me to walk into the screen with just a t-shirt and my underwear. It would not have been a good look. I got a lot of phone calls about that too. But good morning and welcome all to Soft Spot, right? It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, well, at least here in Florida. You know, to my friends and family, you know, in the Midwest, you know, up north, listen, my heart goes out to you. I'm down here because I couldn't do no more of that cold weather. Enough was enough for me. So here I be. So anywho, last week we were talking about the attraction to familiarity and why we often return to relationships, right, that have ended for a variety of reasons. Some of them have very harsh reasons as to how they ended, and some just, there were a lot of things that we just kept bumping heads on and we just made the decision to move on. But going back to those relationships is easy. It's easy. It's familiar. You know what's going to happen. It's like you already have a template for how your life is going to be when you return to that relationship. And some people are okay with that, right? Many of us are okay with that. Many of us have done it. Many of us are still in relationships that we have returned to, and we're faced with the same circumstances, unresolved, but we're okay with that because it's easier. It's easier to be in this circumstance with this person because there's a safety net that's there for you. There's a safety net that's there for you. Starting over is tough. The dating scene is tough. People got too much stuff going on with them. It's just so much, right? And to make yourself vulnerable, right, to new situations is not an easy task as well, right? So people just wind up back in those same relationships. You know, we wind up making those same booty calls over and over again because it's comfortable for us. It's complacency. That's what it really is. But it's comfortable for us, right? So when we start looking at ourselves and we keep asking ourselves why we keep finding ourselves in these same unwanted circumstances over and over again, and why we continue to settle for these types of situations, right? It's important that we need to understand some things. The difference between wants and needs, right? Because there's a great difference. There's a great difference. We know that if we have a job, right, that is, let's say, 50 miles away from our home, right? And we start looking at travel, you know, what bus we can catch, what train we can catch, and all these different things. And we look at how long it takes us, and we look at how much it'll cost us to take this trip every day, and we factor that into our salaries, and we look at, in the end, you know, is this feasible, right? But is it economically sound? Because we can spend a whole lot of money in travel, right, and cut into all the other things that we need to do, and then find ourselves in the end without being able to do what we want to do. So you know that you're going to need a car. And not only are you going to need a car, because you don't want just any car, you're going to need a car that's going to be able to get you back and forth safely, right? Because you don't want to find yourself stuck on the side of the road. So you look at getting a car that, you know, if you're going to go just get a hoopty, you spend a couple $1,000s, at least it's going to last a year to two, 2 years, right? And when you get your income tax, or when you build up your numbers, right, on your credit score, you'll be able to get something else. But in the meantime, you must be able to get back and forth. You must be able to do that. It must have heat, air conditioning, right? There's some musts that need to happen in order for you to be able to get back and forth to work. So you need a car. Because sometimes, right, you can't get to certain places by bus or train. You need a car. Right? Now, in a relationship, we have to begin to look at what we need from that relationship. And again, I am not ashamed to tell you that I have learned so much in the past year. Yes, I'm 57. I'll be 58 this year. But I've learned so much about myself in the past year. Right? Because I have to find out why I continue to find my own self in the same types of certain situations over and over and over again. And this has nothing to do with the other person. Nothing. This has absolutely nothing to do with the other person. What happens is when we enter into these relationships and our wants and needs are confused, right? It causes our own internal conflict. And that internal conflict, right, is transferred upon the other person. We've made this decision. So now the other person becomes the enemy when the real enemy is within. It's not without. It's not the other person. It's ourselves. But what happens is we blame one another. And yes, we're responsible for what it is that we do in the cases of harm upon somebody else. That's just a reality. That's inescapable. But that has nothing to do with me and my course of action towards change, maturity, and development in my own personal life. Right? So what I have to begin to look at is what I brought to the table, right, is based on my own conditioning, it's based on my own thinking. Right? There's things I don't know about myself. And if you think that you know everything about yourself, you need to take a look at the Johari window. That's Johari. Go on to Google and Google that. And I want you to start seeing there are parts of yourself that you may never see. That you may never see. That lies within your subconscious. You'll never know these things about yourself. You'll never understand why you keep doing this. You never understand why you keep doing that. You'll never understand some of these things. See, what you have to understand is life presents us with so many different things along the way that we can't possibly delve totally into self. We can't. It's not possible. So when things present themselves in our lives, we make a decision to address or to avoid them. The things that we choose to avoid lay in the crevices of our minds, lay in the crevices of our spirit. It just sits there. And it just lingers. And it rears its ugly head when it wants to. Because that's the control that it has over our lives. It just wreaks havoc anytime it wants to. And the first thing we do is we look at the other person or we look at the other situation we're in and we blame it for bringing about that negative feeling. When all the while it's something that has been lying within us. So we do nothing about it. We do nothing about it because we don't know it's us. So when we say to people that, you knew what it is that you were doing, they may know about their action, but they may not know and they may not understand the core of that action. I know I go through feelings when people talk to me in a certain way, but there's a core to that. I know when people's actions towards me are negative, and I can see that happening. But do I know why I'm reacting the way I am on the inside? Why am I reacting that way? And remember, I think it was last week or the week before last, I was talking about how things happen, right? We automatically blame the other person, and that's an avoidant behavior, right? But I also talked about how when we see people do certain things, and I'll give you an example. For instance, driving. And I use this as an example because most of us, in some capacity, have issues with people's driving habits. So you're driving up the highway. You're in the middle lane, riding 60, 65 miles an hour, just rolling along, right? Out the rear view mirror, you see this car coming up in the passing lane. He's haul-tailing. He's got to be doing about 85. He's just flying. Next you know, you see him changing lanes. He's going in and out of his lanes, and he's got in front of people. He's cut in front of people. And you're looking at him like, this is a fool. Look at this fool. Look at this fool, right? Days later, you get a phone call from your child's school. Your child is sick, you need to go pick your child up. They're throwing up all over the place. This is going on with them, that's going on with them. They're beginning to run a fever. You leave your job on the highway, rolling along. Traffic is in your way. What are you doing? You look like that fool, right, that you just saw earlier, right? 85 miles an hour in the passenger lane, cutting in and out of traffic. That person is trying to get somewhere just like you are now trying to get somewhere, but you see their behavior differently. You see their behavior differently. Why? Because you don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but you know why you're doing what you're doing. But you're justifying your actions, and you're still practicing an unsafe behavior, but that other person is the fool and you're not. That's the same stuff we do in relationships with other people. We do the exact same thing, and we don't see it. But in regards to wants and needs, we want from others what we tend to not give ourselves. Right? We want somebody else to do it. Why would you want something from me that you can get yourself? Why would you want that from me? If you want to live high in the hall, why would you want me to make the contribution to that? Is that right? But then the other side to it is, why would I want to make a contribution to one's lifestyle that I don't even live? I don't even live that lifestyle. So why am I making a contribution to it? So who's wrong? Who's wrong? I'm doing this what? All in the name of love? What's love got to do with it? You really need to listen to the lyrics of that song. But what does love have to do with it? Because we're not together anymore doesn't mean I don't love you. There's a different level of love that exists. It doesn't mean I'm going to, every time I see you, I'm going to fall apart and I got just lose it and I'm going to embrace you. And no, there was a point in our lives that we shared love, that we shared something special. That doesn't go away. You want that to be erased from your spirit? It can't. The goodness of that relationship will live on. Unfortunately, or fortunately in some cases, the negative aspects of that relationship seem to stay in the forefront of our minds. Why? Why? That's something we have to begin to look at. So today, I'm going to an article here on the Love Compass. That's thelovecompass.com, right? And the title of this article is The Difference Between a Relationship Need and Want, right? I'm looking for the author's name, and because listen, I give credit where credit is due. It's not my article. Maybe it's at the bottom. Okay, so the article is by Erica Djossa. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, forgive me, Erica. But I just want to make sure I give credit where credit belongs. So let's go to the article. Oftentimes we confuse what we require and what we desire in relationships. We make a list of all the important traits we want in a person with very little concept of what we really need in our relationships. Our lists often include items about physical appearance, the level of income or career, and may end with a general statement like, they make me feel happy. I hate to break it to you, but you are the one that is responsible for ensuring that you are happy and your needs get met. It is up to you to understand what you need in a relationship versus what you want. And it is your responsibility to effectively communicate those things. Right? So, Webster's dictionary defines a need, at the article, as something that a person must have, something that is needed in order to live, or succeed, or be happy. A need is something that is essential and very important to live a healthy and satisfying life. Okay? So now let's go back to the beginning. When you entered into this relationship, right? Whether it's a current one or a previous one, when you entered into this relationship, did you establish a list of what you need? Before you entered into this relationship, did you establish a list of what you need? This is important to understand, because whether your relationship is still going on or not is not the question here. The question here is that if you are in a relationship with someone and you have never established a list of what you need, remember, need based on Webster's dictionary, Webster dictionary's definition, right? Something that is essential to life. Is sex essential to life? Many would say yes. So if that's the case, then why do they have so many sex toy stores? Right? Because when you look at sex and you look at how sex is defined, again, according to Webster's dictionary, it's an act that happens between two people. It's not sex when you masturbate. That's not sex. That's a sex act. It's a sexual act. But it's not sex in the sense of what happens between me and another person. Right? Do you need that? If you can go home and you can masturbate and you can be done in 2 minutes, and all the stress and the strain and the conflicts and controversy that come along with the relationship piece, you know, is not there, which would you choose? Many people are choosing that route as a way of life, not as a temporary circumstance. Right? So you can take sex off the list, because sex is not essential to living. It is not. It's something we want. It's something we want. And when we put sex in the position of our needs list, then we find ourselves compromising to be in circumstances we don't need to be in. Okay? So what else was on that list? I need somebody to go to the movie with. I need somebody to eat dinner with. I need somebody to sit and watch television with. Are those essential to living? No. I want to give you a sneak peek. I don't want to give you too much. But ask yourself this question. What did Adam need from Eve? What was Eve's purpose to Adam? And I'm going to leave that there, because that's a little snippet from my soon-to-be released film, Why Are You My Ex? Right? You have to begin to understand what need looks like. And if you don't know what your own needs are, and you're living life based on what your wants are, it's a good chance your happiness has been interrupted, and you have settled into something that has not provided you true fulfillment. You are responsible for making yourself happy first and foremost. When you enter into a relationship that is not totally fulfilling, that is not totally satisfying, that is not meeting your needs, you have satisfied nothing but your id, which is that part of self that is unwavering from wanting nothing but what it wants, when it wants, and it wants it now. I hope you're following me here, right? Because life is to be lived. And I just always want to remind people that You are responsible. I am responsible for my own life. My own life. I'm responsible for my own life. Because at the end of all of this, I stand before God in judgment. I have two angels. This is all written. It's all written. It won't be Mr. Bill standing next to me. It won't be my first ex-wife. It won't be my child. It won't be my homies. It won't be nobody standing next to me. It's already written. It's already written. Everything that I've done. Right? Everything that I didn't do. It's already written. So let's be clear there. It's already being documented. Everything that I do and say. My intentions are already known. So if I entered into this relationship intending to do the right thing and it failed, that's documented. If I entered into this relationship with deceit, vengeance, malicious intent, all of these things are recorded. They're recorded. So when you enter into a relationship, and you enter into a relationship unbeknownst to you that these are not needs that you're addressing their wants, that's one part to it. But when you're entering into a relationship based on what you want from a person, right, then you're a thief. Because all you're going to do is take and take and take and take and take from me. You don't have anything to give. You don't have the capacity to give. Needs from a relationship are based on things that are essential to my living. What's essential to my living. And I have to be able to know that. Are you satisfying your id? Or are you being self-satisfying and just, going beyond the concept of how the id wants what it wants? And are you just jumping into this and just being irresponsible? Because the other part to that is, the conflict with your morality, your values, right? That's that dissonance. Your mouth is saying one thing and your behavior is saying something else. And I'll do a show on cognitive dissonance so you understand even more, because there's things that we do that are based on that id part of self, and then there are other things that have to do with our ego and superego that often are at odds more than they are with the id. You always have that battle between your morality and your values and your convictions and the things Miss Mary taught you and the things Grandma Moses taught you and so on and so forth. That internal, that jihad, that internal conflict. Right? That's what's going on, right? And you don't realize it. You just don't realize it. So when, again, wants and needs are based off of things essential to living. Wants is just that. I want. And it talked about in this paragraph about the physical appearance. First and foremost, 36, 24, 36. That's it. That's what I need. Yeah, look at that brick house. Ooh-wee! But then you're with someone who isn't. Why? Why? Why are you with this person who is not 36, 24, 36? Because somewhere in there, the attraction between the two of you, right, happened, and it happened for a variety of reasons. And sometimes part of the reason has to do with our need that is unbeknownst to us, but we gravitate towards that person and don't know why, but we're with them. But they're not 36, 24, 36. So have we just settled Or have we found the reality in our subconscious and just don't know it? The other part to it is that you do have a 36, 24, 36. Right? Are you happy? You're happy because you got a 36, 24, 36. So what does the rest of your life look like? Materialism? Is materialism high on your list? That you got to have this, that, and the other, the best of everything, that you always want to outdo somebody else, that you always have to wear designer clothing even though you can't really afford it? So why does that need exist? Right? Why does that need exist? Why have you called it a need? What is it satisfying? What is it covering up? What? Because that 36, 24, 36 is not going to make you happy. Because you're not happy. Because you're not happy. So you're stuffing. You're masking. You're stuck on image. Is that essential to life? Is that 36, 24, 36, 24, 36 essential to your living? And if it is, then it's a problem. Because you stay together long enough, 36, 24, 36 don't look the same. Neither do you. Listen, I can't tell you, right, how many times I've gone through this phase, right, of gung-ho in the gym, you know, and keeping myself fit, and, you know, and how much work is involved in that, right? I can tell you it's a lot of work. But I'm saying all that to say is that the workout that is more important than the physical workout is the spiritual workout. Because if you're not working out your spirit, right, your mental health becomes greatly impacted. Right? It's like all this inside stuff, man, that happens that we can't see, right? Because we're looking for 30, 36, 24, 36. All this other stuff going on inside of us that we don't see, that we don't address, because we're addressing everything else outside of ourselves, we'll never see our true condition. And it's not until we're in pain when we begin to look at our condition. And we ask ourselves, well, how did I get here? How did I get in this circumstances? How am I here again? How am I here again? Dad, I let another one do the same exact thing. The same thing. I said I would never find myself in this position again. And here I am, right back here in this situation again. Because you have to understand more things about yourself and your condition. Right? You have to. So let's go to this here. There's a hierarchical order of self, right? In terms of, and what I mean by hierarchical is there's things within us, right, that are significant in terms of our growth and development that we don't understand. It's a natural order of development. And when these things are not addressed as they need to be, right, because they can go to the top, and I'll go over the pyramid. The top, to the bottom, to the middle, it all depends, remember, on what presents itself, right? So, I want to talk about this pyramid here. So, back to the article. While there has been little research to substantiate Maslow's claims that needs move in a hierarchical order, it is still helpful to give context to what a need really looks like. Defining needs can be a somewhat controversial topic, especially when we are trying to address psychological or emotional needs, as there seems to be a lot of gray area between wants and needs. Needs are different from wants in that their deficiency results in a negative outcome. Aha. I want to say that last sentence again. Needs are different from wants in that their deficiency results in a negative outcome. Got it? For instance, the analogy that I used was the car, being able to get back and forth to work, right? Because you work a long distance away, you need to have a reliable car. You may want a S-Class Mercedes, but what do you need? Right? Getting a new job don't mean you go out and buy a $60,000 car on a $50,000 a year salary. When you got a home, when you have responsibilities. That's just what you want. What you need is a car to get back and forth, right? Right? That car breaks down. Can you get back and forth to work? Nope. What do? You lose your job, you rent a car, you go through all kinds of other means because you need a car. Right? Right? You want somebody, right, in your life to wine and dine you. You want to eat out at restaurants all the time. Right? That's what you want. I want to go out. I don't want to cook. I want to go out. Right? And you want to go to some of the finest restaurants. And you want to go to the Gucci shop. And you want to go to the Coach store. You want to do all these things. Right? What's going to be the outcome? Because it says it here. Needs are different from wants in that their deficiency results in a negative outcome. What happens if you don't go to a Coach store? What happens if we don't go out every week? What happens if we don't go to the Gucci shop? What happens if we don't drive a high-end vehicle? What happens? Is it going to be a negative outcome? Think about it. It may be a negative outcome for that relationship because you'll probably roll if you're materialistic. Right? But you continue to live. You continue to live. You have to remember, as an individual, you have your own life. You have your own life, so why would you take on a partner? Because you got to understand the definition of partner as well. Why would you take on a partner, right, who is materialistic? All because that's what they want. They, in their mind, feel as though that's what they need. Not talking about them, talking about you. Why would you take on a relationship where a person has those expectations of you when you don't even have those expectations of yourself? But you do it all in the name of, I need that. Yeah, I need that in my life. Look at her, look at her. Right? I need that. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then you get that. Now what? Now what? Listen to what I'm saying to you. Right? This is important to understand. If you're not in agreement with what I'm saying, that's fine. I'm not asking you to agree. I'm not asking you to agree. I'm asking you to look at your own life. And if you keep giving yourself answers, right, that justify and rationalize where you are, that's fine. I'm not talking to you then. I'm talking to someone who is seeking to bring resolve to some unresolved in their lives. Period. But if you look at yourself and where you are, is this where you want to see yourself a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Is this the extent of living for you? I know some people, man, who never go outside of the state that they live in, who have never been in other parts of the state they live in. They will always be right where they are. They will always be there. They'll never get to see anything else in life. That person will always be in that condition. And then when they're with somebody who wants to do more, because that other person sees themselves as doing something more later in life, right? It's a conflict. But I'm not going to deal with that right now because this is what I want. So I'm doing what I want to do. When I get tired of this, then I'll move on. But is that right? Why are you tied up in this? If you don't see yourself in this situation 5, 10 years from now, right, doing something, achieving your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, why be in it? Why be in it? Listen to what I'm saying to y'all. These are things that I didn't ask myself in my marriages. Because I was so preoccupied with, right, addressing, right, what I thought were the needs of others, but I was pursuing satisfaction of my own needs. But because I was unconscious of what those needs were, I continued to find myself in circumstances that couldn't address my needs. Because I didn't know what they were. And I'm continuing to learn what my needs are. And again, this is not to bash, to blame anybody else. It's a matter of ownership. Me looking at myself as a person. Because whoever I'm with, they have to be able to address my needs. And when anybody says that they don't need another person, I don't need no man. I want a man. I don't need no woman. I want a woman. You need to backtrack, right? Pump your brakes, right? Pull over, and you need to take it life for what it really is. Adam needed Eve. Believe that. Believe that. God in his infinite wisdom didn't give Adam Eve for nothing. You need to pay attention. And again, that's another snippet from the film. Why Are You My Ex? I don't want to give it all up. Give it all up. Right? But we have to understand that. We have lost sight of our own humanity, and we have created these clones. That's what we've done. We've cloned other people. We're not even going to go back to slavery and how when we were taken from our motherland and brought here, the conditions that changed us. Now you just add everything else on. So we've lost sight of even our own humanity. That can't be taken from you. Culture can be taken from you. Religion can be taken care of you. Can taken away from you. All those things can be taken away from you. Your humanity cannot be taken away from you. It can't. And that's what we have to go back to, our humanity. We've lost sight of that. Because we're so hell-bent on satisfying our own id, right? And allowing others to use us for their own satisfaction. For their own satisfaction. Because at the end of the day, this is about getting our needs met. This is about getting my needs met. Right? And remember, needs are things that are essential to our living. Food, water, shelter, things that are essential to our living. Do you have those things? Why? Because you need them. You can go live out in the woods if you want. But when the weather comes, you still need to put shelter up. You still need to protect yourself from the elements, right? So you need that. You have to eat, right? So you got to go out and hunt and catch your food, right? So you need that. Right? You'll dehydrate. Your body is made up of what? 86% water? So you need that. You need that. Right? Do you need this relationship you're in? Do you need this person who you are with? Think about it. Because it's about things that are essential to living. So, let me go to this hierarchical structure here, according to Maslow, right? So, at the top of this, it's a pyramid. At the top of this pyramid, let's start at the bottom. So at the bottom, at the base of this pyramid, are basic needs. Psychological needs, right? I'm sorry, psychological. Physiological needs. And I talked about food, water, warmth, rest, right? So we like, and it's funny it says warmth, right? Now warmth, right? It's like, it's cold up north. I need warmth, so I came down here to Florida, right? I need warmth, right? But when the conditions change, when the seasons change, because we do get spring, we have spring and summer in Florida. When the seasons change and it gets a little cooler, I get a sweater, right? I get a sweater. I turn the heat on, right? When it's hot, we have the air conditioning, but air conditioning, right, is one of those things that, is it a need or a want? Huh? You need to cool off, right? But in terms of basic needs, right, do you need to be cool? You just need to have shelter from the elements. All right, so that's the basic needs. I talked about food, water, shelter, rest. Listen, physiological need, rest. Rest. Can you rest when your spirit is in turmoil? Can you rest when your life is hanging in the balance? Can you rest? Right? Can you rest? You need rest. You need to be able to rest. I'm telling you, rest, listen, when you look at the health conditions, right, of many people, when you look at strokes, you look at heart attacks, you look at all those things, all this is also tied into diet, right? It's also tied into diet. Some don't eat, some eat too much, some eat too much of the wrong stuff, right? It's a lot of things that happen in there, right? When you don't get proper rest and you don't drink plenty of water, your body chemistry changes, which greatly affects your attitude. It does. Greatly affects your attitude. I can always tell when I'm not drinking enough water. Like I've gone through a spell like the last couple of weeks, right, of not drinking enough water. And anybody that knows me know, hey listen, I knock down some water. My appetite has changed. So I don't know if it's because it is shifting the season or whatever it is. It's just like the moon, right? The full moon elevates the water level, right? And people keep forgetting we're a part of all of this. Like we're a part of nature. That we're humans in this scheme of a natural environment, right? But I'm saying all this to say that we have to also look at the significance of resting and not just going to sleep, right? But getting restful sleep, right? Are you sleeping through the night, right? So I deal with insomnia as well. So I have those periods where I'll sleep for 2 hours, wake up, and be up for about an hour or two, go to sleep, and I'll go through that. And all of this has happened within the past 2 weeks. So I don't know what the connection is between the world, you know, that we live in and this whole environment. I don't know what the connection is, but I became really dehydrated, really drained, very lethargic. Then I realized, you know, I haven't taken a break since November of 2015 when I first moved to Florida. I moved up to North Florida, then I moved to Central Florida, and now I'm in South Florida. I changed, you know, jobs from when I different prisons I work in. Now I'm with the Department of Corrections, and now I have a different set of responsibilities. But I've never had a break in all of that. Never took a break. So I need to take a break. I'm going to take vacation either this coming week or the following week. I'm going to definitely take a vacation because I need some rest. And then with everything else that I do, I need some rest. The next thing in that hierarchical structure is safety needs. Security. Safety. Right? And so, you know, that it's important that I have shelter. Right? But it's also important where that shelter is. Yes, and there's crime everywhere. Right? It's crime everywhere. You're not going to have any perfect community. I don't care how pristine you think your community is. If you don't see it on the doorstep, it's there. It may be inside, but it's there, right? Little underlying things, right? But I need to be able to live in a place where, right, I can park my car and don't have to worry about hearing the alarm go off in the middle of the night. I can sleep soundly because I'm not concerned with somebody breaking into the house. I'm not listening for gunshots. I'm not listening out to that what, because after what it's something going down, right? That's safety and security for me, right? My job, right? I'm locked into my job. Like the job before I came down to Florida, I was with them 15 years. I gave 15 years with that company, so I get dug in because that's security. That's security. That's my life insurance. That's my health insurance. That's my pension. That's all of those things. That's part of safety and security, right? I need to be dug in. I'm not hopping job. I'm not on a paper chase. I'm too old for a paper chase. Now that might come with like $100,000. Then we might have to talk. But I'm just saying I'm not on that paper chase, right? I want to be secure. I don't want to be doing a whole lot of jumping around. But I've done that like in moving. Throughout all of my life I've moved and I 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 moved. This is my last move. I'm staying in Florida. I plan to retire in Florida. I've been playing in Florida for years. And anybody who knows me knows that. It was first Nevada. But now, and then it turned into Florida because Nevada get cold. Cold. And it's a different beast up there. So I wanted Florida because I always vacationed in Florida. I'm right here at the port, so I can jump on a ship and go on a 2-3 day cruise. I can ride on over to Cuba if that's where I want to go. I'm right here. Disney World, everything. Beach every day, that's what I do, right? So safety and security is important, right? Right? And really, and the other side to it is I haven't had any issues, any interaction that's been negative with law enforcement down here. None. Up north, you never know what's going down, man. You're driving, police ride up on you just because of the environment. Just because of the environment. I've been down here since 2015. I ain't never, matter of fact, I've had troopers, sheriffs, folks who have just been cordial and not had any kind of problem. So that I feel safe, in that aspect. That I can be somewhere and I don't have to like always be looking out my rear view mirror as to, why this dude riding up on me, right? I mean, I know it happens, and that's real, but I'm just saying, up north, it happens all too frequently. I don't care what anybody says. It happens all too frequently, man, and it's uncomfortable. Let me say that. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Because you always feel like you're on edge. You got to be on edge, with an entity that is supposed to protect and serve. So you're on edge with that. Then you're on edge with, what's happening in the community, with all the gunplay and all the violence and everything going on. And then you're on edge with a relationship that you don't need to be in. Listen, I don't want none of that, man. I try to get as far away from that as possible. Right? I want balance, peace, and serenity. That's all I want. Right? The other thing, which is on this in this hierarchical structure, belongingness and love needs, intimate relationships and friends. All of us want to be a part of something. All of us want to belong to a group of some sort. Right? All of us. Right? It's easy to say what you don't want to be a part of, but you do want to be a part of something. Right? Some kind of fellowship, some kind of group. Some kind of something that is part of that which you value most inside. If it's family and your biological family, and you are not close, then you gravitate towards a group of people who you call family. Right? Who you call family, be it extended family members or be a gang on the street. People seek to belong to something. This is why we've lost our youth, because they don't have the sense of family in their own home, so they gravitate towards the streets. Right? I had that opportunity. I mean, there was a crew that I swung with. When I grew up in the project, there was a crew that I swung with. But we weren't no like thugs, gangsters, and we were just, good dudes. We got together, smoked weed, talked crap, and we was good. Right? But like, when the whole gang, I never wanted to be, because I didn't want to like be involved in bringing harm to somebody just because they was from some, I never saw the rationale in it. But I did see the rationale in the relationship between the perception of gang. Right? Safety. Again, right underneath it is safety and security. In some environments, you gravitate towards that because that's the only thing you can latch on to make you feel safe and secure in your community. Because your parents have failed to do it. Your caretakers have failed to do it. That's why it's so important that we grab our youth up and we scoop them up and we love them back into the house. That we love them back into family living based on biological family, blood. Right? Got off track for a minute, I'm sorry. So belonging and love needs are important here. Intimate relationships. Right? Every time you see me, I ride solo. There's not a whole lot of people who can actually say that they've been really close to me. I mean people who know me. Not people who think they know me. People who really know me. Right? People who really know me. Right? There's not a whole lot of people who can say they really know me. But when you talk about intimate relationships, you also have to look at how you interact with others. Right? Who you are not involved with, because an intimate relationship is just a relationship between two people who kind of share things about themselves. You know, I might be able to share with this person some things that are going on, you know, with my family. Right? And I may have developed that relationship because some things they share with me about their family. You know, I might have built a relationship with this person because, you know, of death. Like my father was murdered. You know, so if you had a parent that you lost to murder, we would connect. Right? That's that intimate relationship. We may only talk to each other once in a blue moon, but when we talk, it's a good heartfelt talk because we've connected. Right? We've connected. You know, friends. I can pretty much tell you that I can count my friends on one hand. On one hand. At 57, almost 58 years old, yes, I can count my friends on one hand. Right? It's important. You don't have to have a whole lot of friends. People want, like I have 500 something Facebook friends. Right? We're Facebook friends. That's what we are. We're Facebook friends. But how intimate is our relationship? How intimate is our relationship? I know. People sit down with me. He said he got 5 friends. He got 500 something friends. How, where I fall in that line? Because 5, yes, dude, am I what? Man, get out your head. Ain't about you. Get out of your head. Right? But belongingness and love needs. The next thing on that list is esteem needs. Prestige and feeling of accomplishment. Right? Now I want you to understand that everything from belongingness needs and up, right? These two things here are psychological needs. Right? So when we talked about safety and physiological, those are basic needs. Basic needs, right? And people also want to feel safe in a relationship. They want to know that they're protected by that person. Right? And protecting that person doesn't just mean with you carrying the Glock on your hip, you'll bust somebody, or, you know, you got this reputation of causing harm to people. No, that's not protecting. That's not protecting. Right? Anybody can do that. Anybody has the potential to do harm to somebody, to keep themselves, to defend themselves. Anybody can do that. Right? But protecting also means that, like, I'm going to make sure that I'm aware of what's going on in the environment. Right? I'm going to make sure I'm aware of what's going on in the environment to protect them from harm, to move them out of the way. And sometimes you have to move people out of the way of their own self-harm because of some of their behavior, some of their conduct. Sometimes we need that from the other person. That's that need. I need you, right, to help me with this because, you know, sometimes I can be really annoyed by certain conduct, right? And you may know my history, right? Yo, listen, dude, can you just walk away? Because right now you walk into something you don't need to walk into. Just walk away, right? Babe, come on, let's go. Babe, let's go. Let's go. Right? That's safe. Because part of that safety is her being able to say to me, let's go, and she know I'm going to go. That I'm not going to create a circumstance, right? That's going to have harm put upon her, but also upon me. Also upon me. But harm is, you know, safety is also a matter of like, yo, dude, you just quit your job because you mad at your boss? How safe and secure do you feel in that situation? If she gets sick, who gonna take care of her? Who gonna take care of her? You going in and out of jobs. You're acting irresponsibly. You know, you going out drinking and driving and all kind of other stuff. I don't feel safe and secure in this relationship. I have no idea what you're going to do from one moment to the next. I just wanted to give you that part too. Because that falls under basic needs. Basic. You have to be able to provide. If something happens, can I rely upon you? But if you involved in illegal behaviors, that's not a safe and secure relationship. It's not. Ain't nothing I can do for you from D Block. Nothing. So, safety and physiological needs, those are the basic things we need. That's basic. Psychological needs, we're talking about esteem needs, prestige, and feeling of accomplishment, right? This is important, right? And we see, and everything that I talked about, right, was based on what the individual needs. What the individual needs. These are the things that I need. These are the things that are part of my humanness, my humanity. These are the things that I need, right? So, accomplishment, right? What am I doing with my life? For those of you who know me, right? Not necessarily intimately, but who know me, know I've always been active in doing something, right? For me, it's like really hard to do nothing in the course of a day. I've learned to relax more. I've learned to break away more, right? I've spent time on the beach, put on some music and just chill. Sometimes an hour, sometimes 3-4 hours, right? I've learned to do those things, man, because I'm always doing, because my belief is that, you know, a day going by without any productivity is not good. And that's what I tell myself. And I've learned to stop making myself believe that. Because some days you just need to rest. Why? That's a basic need. Some days you got to go back to the basics and remember the basics and how significant rest is. Right? So, but I'm always seeking to get things done. So I'm working on another film. I'm working on another book. I'm working on learning more about my animation stuff. I just bought some more equipment to go along with my video editing and being able to, like, I bought this video capture device which allows me to connect my camcorder, which is using film, connect my camcorder, you know, to my my laptop, right? And I can take and shoot from my camcorder and then transfer it into digital format. But the picture that you get from film is just beautiful. I love digital. I love HD. I love all of that. Film gives you an entirely different look. So I invested into that. So when I hear people talk about, you know, they need the money to do this and to do that and so on and so forth, for the longest time, I have just been gradually buying pieces here and there. It's not very expensive, right, to do what I do. Anybody can be doing something to move towards their achievements if they just started using some of the basic things. What are the basic needs for me to be able to do this online show? A telephone.